Welcome to Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll continue discussing 2024 in review, and we're going to go over the most impactful cards that came out this year for CDH.
There was quite a few this year.
Yeah. If you saw our last episode, we went over all the stats and we went over all of the new commanders that we saw do pretty well in tournaments. If you haven't checked that out, definitely recommend it. Lot of cool data to really put this episode into context. Also, just as a reminder, we will be putting the cards up on screen if you're watching on YouTube. We'll do our best to follow along with them on audio. You should be able to listen to this podcast completely on audio, but if you're a type of person that likes to see the card up on the screen, please go over to our YouTube and you'll see the card up on the screen as we talk about them.
Or you could listen to them both at the same time, one in each ear.
Or set the podcast to auto-download. Have it auto-download on your phone and then go over to YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, click the TCG link, go buy. But speaking of that, before we get into it, let's go into the shuffle up. We got a new comment. So this is something I didn't even know that you could do on Spotify, but per episode you can leave a comment, which I thought was really cool. We got a comment from Nathan R. Gerald, US. He says, "Hey guys, big fan of the podcast. I listen on my way to work, so I enjoy long episodes. I sometimes have to stop in the middle of the episode and miss what this deck is referring to. Is there any way to reference the commander card or card name for us who hop in and out? If it doesn't work, no big deal. Thanks." Yes. Thank you. So we'll do that. There's definitely times where we get into like 20-minute discussions on like Tivit or something.
It's rants. We go into rants, but it's okay.
I will definitely try to make sure that I say Tivit rather than like, this deck is great.
Yeah.
And then second part of the comment, also, I keep waiting for the tournament report from the Grusher 2. I was a Kinnan player in Pod 2. Keep up the podcast. See ya. We played together, and that was the most awesome game of the day. And it was the only game of the day that I really got to play.
Yeah.
So we had intended to do a tournament report for the Gusher Crusher 2, and we went over it a little bit in one of the other episodes. But basically what happened was we had a local tournament. It was a 3-round tournament because we only had, 20 people?
It didn't hit the threshold to do more rounds.
So the Swiss was 3 rounds. First round, me and Gaming Ghost both got a bye. Second round, we got separated. We played different games. They were great games. Speaking of Kin player from Pod 2, awesome. The entire game, we were kind of back and forth. Really, everybody had like a window where they tried. And in the last minute, I think you did like some crazy mirror combo with Kinnan, and just, even though I had something on the stack to stop, just outplayed all of us. So yeah, that was awesome. And you won. And then third round, me and Gaming Ghost got paired up again. So we had 2 full rounds where we didn't play or we were paired up with each other. And pretty much it just became a slog of literally no one could do anything stacks best. And I mean, it was Rograth and TNT and Sisse, and then me on Timna Kodama, which it was a very slow, sloggy game that was not very interesting. So
Fun fact, I don't really like playing tournaments against Cryptid.
Yeah.
And it's because we play so much together that he'll know what's in my hand without me saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, seemingly no tail sign. He'll be like, this is what he's about to do. And I'm just like, how? I just drew a card, man.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. For us to get matched up in 2 of the 3 rounds and only get to play 2 rounds, it didn't really fit enough for the podcast episode. It'd been like a 10-minute podcast if But I mean, props to you. Like I had an awesome time playing you. Like definitely hit us up, and if you're in the area, I'd love to play again.
For sure. That last uh, match of this tournament went on for like an hour and a half, if not two. It
Oh
was a
yeah,
long
yeah.
game.
The so not the one that we were in. The last like top four.
Yeah, the top four
Yeah, yeah.
was crazy stacks.
Yeah, it was a lot of really good competition. Like usually whenever I go to a tournament, like there's I'd say about a third that just kind of show up and they're like, "Oh, I'm really good at like beating my pod," and then they play CDH and they're just like, "My God," But I think everybody that showed up like brought really good competition. I don't think that there was. I mean, I only saw one, two. I only played 4 people that aren't in our pod at that tournament. Because in my second pod, one of our pod mates that we play with all the time was there too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it was a fun local game. I wish we would have had a better turnout,
Yeah.
but it was mainly because of the lack of content why we didn't just attack it.
Yeah. And that was it for our new comments. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. We do have a link tree that has links to all of our stuff. And also, we have a TCG Player affiliate link, completely free for you. Just click it, buy your cards. Lets TCG Player know that we sent you. Hoping that we can get like other people to sponsor episodes, just because the more stuff that we have coming in, the cooler that we can make the podcast. Just recently, with some of the nice donations and TCG player links, that shuffle up sound is something that we added to the podcast. Had to buy a piece of hardware to do that easily, but it's there now. So if you enjoy that, please use the TCG player link. Again, totally free for you. Doesn't really give us very much money, but definitely lets TCG player know we're sending people over to them. And then that way we can get more people maybe interested in sponsoring episodes.
Yeah, pretty much everything that we get goes straight back into it.
Yeah. We like doing it. So last episode, just a reminder, we did hit 2,000 downloads, which was really cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, couldn't have done it without you guys. So we hit we've been doing it for 10 months. We hit our first 1,000 in 7.5 months, and then our second 1,000 in 2.5 months. So big.
It's snowballing pretty good.
And speaking of snowballing, it is storming outside. So if you guys randomly hear rain or thunder, this is an ASMR podcast or ASMR podcast. So, ASMR. That's how you say it.
ASMR?
Mm-hmm. If people didn't say it like that before, they're going to. They're going to hear it from here. Yeah. And then if you're listening on YouTube, we have gotten quite a surge of subscribers, which is really cool. We're still only at 45, but all of you count. So if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. We have a lot of views on our videos, just not very many subscribers. So I know you guys are seeing it. I know you guys are clicking on it. Just make sure that you're subscribed. And if you're sure you're subscribed, please check, because I know personally that I'll go to channels that I really like and I'm like, I haven't heard from them in like a month. Did they stop doing their thing? And I'll go to the channel and I'm not subscribed anymore for some reason. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, here's 3 new videos for me to binge. So
yeah. We're still putting out stuff.
Yeah. When we will keep putting out stuff as long as CDH is a thing, which is going to be forever. So all right, let's get into these cards. So we do have 46 cards. We kind of cleaned them up. We did say 55 last time, but that's way too many. 46 is way too many.
Not many we cleaned up. I think it was like 7.
Yeah. So we're going to start. Oh, man, I picked a great one to start with.
Yeah, this will be a quick one.
So we're going to start right now. We might move through them a lot. This is not a card review, so I'm not really going to do anything other than say the name of the card, maybe like read a couple things that are relevant. We're not going to go into ratings. We just don't have time for that. This is going to be all the cards that we saw that came out in 2024 that were relevant to CDH. So hopefully you see some new ones that you're like, oh, I missed that. That's going to go in my deck. Or you see some things that you're just like, I did not remember that came out this year. Like in the Flood Maw is one of those for me, where I'm just like, I feel like that card has been a staple for so long, but I've only probably been using it for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels natural.
All right. Let's go into all the cards. So this is Basin Ibn Ishaq. I think I got that right.
I just say Basim.
Yeah, Basim. He's just legendary creature, human assassin, 2/2. When you cast a historic spell, draw a card, and he can't be blocked. I'll let Ghost take this one.
Pretty much this is colors for Sisay. So it's black, blue, colors for Sisay that gives you some card draw on your legendary and artifact type spells. The 1/1 isn't necessarily as relevant. It's okay. It's nothing too crazy. It's really just to get them colors out, and it's a quick drop to it too, with one blue, one black.
I think blue is probably the hardest color that you have adding to your library of creatures.
I think it's red, to be honest.
Well, blue and red, but yeah. You have the red hood in there for red, just because it's red, really.
Yeah, it's a mana dork.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much it on this one. There was nothing real. It's not a game changer. It just gives you a little bit of card draw.
Yeah, I mean, like the amount of card draw Sisay has with this and how often it comes out is like pretty crazy. Also, we found out in the last game that we played, it's not a May. You just have to draw that card. So I would say watch out on that. But otherwise, Sisay being able to get more stuff into her hand is pretty good. I think if you haven't seen this against a Sisay player, you probably will see it in the future. Next card, Molten Duplication. This one's easy. There's another spell that's exactly like this, and it's really good in Itali. Pretty much anything that has a Dualcaster Mage, right? Yeah, Dualcaster Mage is going to like this because it is the same spell, just
reworded.
It turns it into you can also copy a artifact or a creature, so it's the exact same duplication spell that they're using to win the game. Now you got 2 of them. Really good.
Yeah, consistency.
Into the Flood Maw. This is great. It's Chain of Vapor, but better, and Chain of Vapor has been great forever. This one, you give somebody a tap fish, which is a 1/1, which, I mean, you do kind of have to watch out who you give the tap fish to. You don't really want to give it to the green player because they can get more mana with Guy's Cradle. You don't really want to give it to the player that's playing like Sacrifice Tutors in black. But otherwise, like, it's kind of doesn't really mean anything giving somebody the tap fish, and you don't have to worry about them sacking land and copying it.
It's also just good tech because you don't necessarily need to give a tap fish.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're returning creatures, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like it. I think this is a really good card. It's an uncommon, which is what was crazy to us because we did like 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And didn't find one.
Yeah.
And then we traded a guy at the local shop for 2
pulled like 4 or 5, and I was like, I'll give you a rare, man. This thing's great. I like that blue has one of those removals where you can kind of just go like, okay, there's a Grafdigger's Cage out. I'm not really going to be able to remove this being blue, but I can send it back with Into the Flood Maw, Cyclonic Rift at a higher rate, and then Chain of Vapor, and worry about somebody returning this. Like, the fact that we got a better Chain of Vapor in CDH is really big. I'm going to slap down my Force of Will and say this is the best card of 2024 to enter CDH.
I could really see that. I think there's some heavier cards on the list.
Yeah.
But this is really good tech.
Yeah, I feel like I'm burning a little early, three cards into 46, but I mean, for me, this was the best card in the set. I don't even play blue, so that should say something.
In most decks, this is being used. Yeah. I know Blue Farm started using it. I know pretty much if you have the blue color, you're this is a possibility.
Yeah,
this is a good possibility.
So clap for Into the Flood Maw as Cardboard Cryptid's best card of the set. All right, next card. Valley Flood Caller. Great. You can cast your non-creature spells as though they had flash. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, birds, frogs, otters, and rats you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. Some crazy combos just with Valley Flood Caller itself, where turns it into a little hull breacher. You know, you may cast non-creature spells as though they had flash, and this itself has flash. Really good. Opened up a lot of really fun plays. We did get Born Upon a Wind last year, so it kind of just made a card that we got last year a little bit better with a change out of you can't cast all of your spells as though they had flash, but being able to flash out a creature that's hard to counter and get all of that is really good.
I want to say that this really helped out Derevi as well.
Oh yeah, I mean it helped out Derevi. It helped out. I mean Zur you don't really see, but this is a big card for Zur. I mean really anything that can do the Banishing Knack combo. Then there's like another one like Helix something. Turns it in a 0-cost rock into a mini Hullbreaker horror, which is really good. Yeah, really good card that came out this year. And if you heard that Thunder Crash, we're okay.
I'm a little scared.
Yeah. Polywog Prodigy. We really like this in the card review. I think really the only downside on this is if you have it out and all of a sudden you want to go into a Thassa combo, you kind of want to get rid of Polywog Prodigy because it can cause you to lose. I really think that's the only downside to it. I don't have it in too many of my decks anymore, but also like it's such great value.
I believe post ban, it's not as good
Yeah.
in general. It's not that it's a bad card because it's still a really good card. I don't see it as much since everybody's teching other things.
Yeah, I think once we got rid of that 0-cost rock that everybody mulliganed pretty hard for, Polywog Prodigy isn't as good. But then like we have a friend that still plays it, and I'll see him drop it, and it's just like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
draw.
cards.
The only thing that I don't like about it and why I kind of don't put it in my decks is I worry that I'll put it on the field and then I'll draw into Thassa combo and I'll be like, man, I gotta get rid of this thing. And it's big. It's a big boy. It pretty quickly becomes a 2/4. So
Yeah, it's lost me a couple of games. I was gonna say this would be Force of Will, but since it's lost me a couple of games, I just can't
has
justify
it won you a couple games?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's important there.
It's good,
Yeah.
but it's lost me more games, and it's more tech, so it doesn't really win.
I think it needs to go into a deck that really needs draw, that isn't running Thassa combo. So probably not going into any Dimir deck. And then, I mean, that's a lot of CDH decks. So. Hazel's Brewmaster. Oh man, I almost want to force a little of this, but I burned mine. Hazel's Brewmaster is crazy with Devoted Druid. I think Hazel's Brewmaster alone opened up TNT to be a pretty good deck. We saw the Boil one with Hazel's Brewmaster combo. I mean, great card. The fact that you can get rid of, Eldritch Evolution, Devoted Druid into this and just get infinite green mana is really good.
I am going to use Force of Will on this.
Heck yeah.
I think that this has opened up too many.
Yeah.
And it's a win con. It's a 2-card win con, pretty much.
I mean, the fact that I can have a Squirrel Warlock in my deck and like everybody be like, oh no, Hazel's Brewmaster is out. Yeah, this card, I think when we saw it in a review, we said it was pretty good. But the extent of how good it was, I didn't really realize until I really saw it in action. It shortcuts a lot of good things. I mean, like most of the time you're probably using it with Thrasios. I kind of dropped Timna Kadama just because it was really hard for me to generate infinite mana and then also have like an outlet for it. I did move over to TNT with that deck, and it's working pretty well. And Hazel's Brewmaster is definitely one of those like, oh well, I'm tutoring for something. I'm probably gonna go get this. Like,
I think the fact that green got better inherently, and then you have this card that activates uh, Devoted Druid,
yeah,
like, and then it's to the graveyard. So this is your backup plan.
hmm
So even if Devoted Druid, if it's not exiled, you're going to be able to still use it.
there,
Is rough.
yeah. There's also been times where like turn one, I dropped a like Birds of Paradise and I dropped a Soul Ring, and this was in my hand turn two, and somebody had like killed my birds or something. I can't remember, but I dropped out Hazel's Brewmaster really early, got the ETB, and basically the ETB was here's a free arcane signet. And then next turn, I attacked with a 3/4 menace. And I got another arcane signet. And everybody was kind of looking at my field and they were like, he's making an arcane signet for free every turn. That's bad. We need to fix this, guys.
Yeah, the Brewmaster is quite a big MVP to a lot of the Gilgari, and anything using green really is just benefiting.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I wasn't even exiling any more creatures. I was just getting rid of random things in people's graveyards. And I was like, okay, well, I'll plop this out. It has Birds of Paradise ability. And if it gets to the point I can get another ability, pretty cool. Force of Will. So we use Force of Will. This one gets a clap. And we're all out of Force of Will. But I mean,
All
these are
right.
such good cards. Agate Instigator, I don't really think that you're going to see this in a whole bunch of decks, but I mean, the fact that we got so many Perforos Impact Tremors abilities this year was big. I think we're going to see a lot more Impact Tremor style decks, and I think this one is one of the best ones. You can bring it out for 2. So it's a creature impact tremors. And I mean, if you're doing impact tremors, you don't care if it's 1 damage or 2, like you're going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
You can do it for 4 to get 2 damage. And I mean, it's good. Like, not going to spend a lot of time on this one.
I love these little pinger cards, and then
Yeah.
this one can give you, it's a 1 damage for 2, or you know 2 damage for 4 plus 2 1/3s, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that they're going to put a
I'm,
impact tremor effect on a creature and have it cost the same, I wouldn't have believed you. Yeah.
I said that wrong. It would be a 1/1 and a 1/3.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think Obnixis really exists anymore now that Rakdos the Muscle is out, but I mean, Obnix got a lot of really good love this year. Demont Council, not really seeing this in a whole bunch of decks. You basically need a demon card that will win you the game if you go and get it and cast it, which not a lot of decks have that outside of like Crick. And I did think Crick was a dead deck, but people are playing it and placing pretty okay. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I just wanted to throw this one in there just because it's not too hard to turn on the Delirium. It's a little bit harder than I thought in the beginning when we did this card review, but I mean, it's a good card. It's if I'm ever looking for a sorcery tutor to put in outside of the normal tutors that are put in, I'm looking at Demonic Council for the most part,
I mean, the fact that it's another black tutor is pretty crazy.
and to hand, yeah, like not even top of deck. Overlord Balemilk, Overlord of the Balemurk, kind of the same thing. I wasn't going to put him in, but I know that he turns on a lot of Doomsday piles, and also really kind of reopened up Doomsday piles to CDH again. So the fact that it kind of turned on an old win condition is pretty good. So I wanted to at least highlight it here.
Yeah, I think this is from Dustborn.
Yeah.
I like Dustborn as a set. I thought it was very solid.
Yeah, I mean the pending cost is really good too because it's 2 to basically like set up your doomsday pile. I do think doomsday piles are still bad just because if somebody op agents you, then they get your entire 5 cards out of your entire deck and you're just done. So I think every combo has some downgrades, but that one is like you try it, and if anybody has an op agent, which almost everybody runs op agent, you've kind of lost the game for everyone, including yourself. Like this is if it hits and I op agent, uh, I just win for the most part.
Yeah,
Razorkin Needlehead. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Razorkin Needlehead deals 1 damage to them. Just like it. I like the draw attacks. I don't think we see as much draw anymore, outside of a couple decks with all of the bans. But I mean, you guys know that we're a fan of red tax punishment, so wanted to put it
yeah.
in.
What is the card that it's blue red, and if you were to deal 1 damage, it does 2 additional?
Oh, that's the
It's the guy for 40K.
Warhammer 40K sniper guy. Yeah,
I mean, no, in no form is it like CEDH. It's probably like high powered, but
yeah,
I like stuff like that. I think it's
yeah.
fun. So
Yeah, I mean, well, we got so many red cards that add extra damage when a red source does it. So
mm,
like that deck type could come up. I like these. I like the idea of the decks that just kind of every action somebody takes in CDH it taxes them. So you kind of look at it and you're like, well, I can only do 40 of this. Well, that's fine. Like I'll win before then. And then you're like, oh well, they played another one. Now I can only make 20 actions. Oh no, and I'm gonna have to counter stuff people are doing, and that counts as an action. Oh, they doubled all that. So now I only have 10 actions, then I'm dead. Uh-oh.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fun deck type. We've played against somebody that did that. They
It's
did pretty
usually
well.
it's usually the mono red.
Yeah. Uh,
Like,
oh, I was about to say Ozark, but that's not right. Ogier?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the god. He's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Turns into a land if he's removed. So once he comes out, he's kind of just there forever.
Yeah, he's strong though.
Yeah.
I lost to him.
Enduring Vitality. Putting a creature out that says creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Real good. Real good in a lot of decks. Whenever I'm making decks, if I have green, this is always something that I kind of put into the deck and go, am I gonna cut this? Like it's always good. I think you were running it in Sisei for a little bit.
I'm still running it.
Yeah, Kinnan loves it.
Yeah,
Like I think
this is a strong card, man.
yeah.
Like, and then it's sticky. So if you kill it, it'll come back unless you exile it.
Yeah, or you have a Graph Digger's Cage out. I didn't realize that for a little
Yeah,
bit.
you
Yeah.
destroy it.
Well, Graph Digger's Cage won't let creatures come from the graveyard to the battlefield, and this is a creature on the stack.
Mm. I mean, I like it honestly. It's won me games. It's given me that edge to grow. Like turning everything into a birds is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean the cool thing about it with Valley Flood Caller, whenever you cast a spell, you untap Valley Flood Caller. So with this, it's like, okay, well, Valley Flood Caller put out a mana rock. Untap it. Tap Valley Flood Caller for a mana. Play another cantrip. Untap it. Tap it for a mana. Like,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, it's pretty good. Kona Rescue Beastie. I had such high hopes for Kona. I did have Kona in the 99 of a couple decks, and it just kind of got to the point where like I was burning a counter to get like the biggest thing from my deck out, and she was a really, really fun CDH commander. And by the time I made the deck in Moxfield and I was seriously considering ordering it, the bans happened. And I was like, she is not good without Mana Crypt, and kind of Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus kind of sealed the fate of Kona. I know that Play to Win built her and got to play with her for a video or two. Looked really fun. I mean, it wasn't ever going to be like a top 10 contender deck. But
Mono green's kind of hard to do that with.
yeah, I mean, just the fact that mono green had something outside of Elf Ball where you could just drop like gigantic stacks artifacts and just be like, cool, knowledge pool is out, pass. Like, it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. I wish this deck would have stayed around. I still think it has place in the 99. It's just anything that costs 4 is pretty hard to justify unless you're like winning. I had a lot of fun with it in Timna Kodama, though. I did ultimately take it out, but it was very fun.
I mean that's my play too. Is the fact that it has to be tapped, so you
Yeah,
kind of get that same feeling of Storm, to where it's like you put it out and you're like, huh, I'm not gonna do nothing,
yeah.
and then you know,
Luckily, Tyvar is pretty good, and he will tap it for free. But I mean, you have to build a deck around Kona to get her tapped right away, unless you run like Springfield, Spring Leaf Drum, like already Springfield. I was thinking about The Simpsons Christmas special because it was good. But yeah, I really liked it as a commander. Rip Kona.
yeah,
Yep, and then there's Tyvar, pretty much good for tapping things that you need tapped. It does get to a point with Devoted Druid that you'll make Devoted Druid so big that you can tap Devoted Druid for the 5 mana, and the -1/-1 counters won't matter because it gets +X/+X, so it gets toughness as well. And you can go with Tyvar and Devoted Druid infinite green really easily. Kind of like Kamal, just on a smaller body. I was running it in Timna Kodama, and it was a power player, but we're just not really seeing decks that can win through combat. Like I kind of said on another episode, like once you put out a whole bunch of big things and you're like, hey, I can kill everybody. Unless you do it that turn, everybody will just be like, oh well, how many minutes do we have to burn so that they don't get a turn? 20 minutes. Cool. I'm gonna tutor real slow. Like I'm gonna crack my land. I'm really gonna think about what land I'll get. I don't know what land I'll get.
yeah,
So I just think those style of decks, unfortunately, I guess lose to politics is a good way to state it.
yeah. Politics and exploiting game
Yeah,
moves.
yeah. All right, Jolly Balloon Man. I'll let you take this one.
I like this guy. It's 3 color, one red, one white, and then I'm gonna say colorless, but it's colorless.
Generic.
Generic.
Yeah.
And then for one generic, you can tap him and create a 1/1 balloon creature with haste of anything on your side of the field that's a creature. I use him in Sisei. I probably shouldn't. He's probably not the best option. I just really like him.
He opens a lot of things up. Kikijiki is like a CDH all star. You don't really see him as much because he costs 5. You see him in Rocco and Winoda, but I mean, Jolly Balloon Man, yeah, it does cost 1, so it's not as easy to go infinite with it. But like, it's every time they print a card, they're gonna have to go. Does this go infinite with Jolly Balloon Man? Are we okay with that? Like in standard, every single card they print, they're going to have like certain cards up on a wall that says, make sure that this card in standard does not go infinite with Jolly Balloon Man XXX. And the fact that like a card does that is insane. Also, he's a clown. I don't
Yeah.
think we've had a clown type before.
Yeah. I use it in Sisei, like I said. There's some really crazy combos you can do with Derevi and some other stuff if you have to. Piecing together those Sisei puzzles whenever you take away some of my key pieces has been really fun to try to figure out.
Yeah, not fun to watch because it takes about 30 minutes.
I mean, I feel like I could win though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what he is. The only downside I see to him is that he's a sorcery speed, so it's only on your turn. But instant value when he comes out,
Yeah.
just good.
I mean, a 1/1 with flying and haste is that's a copy is not anything to ignore either, because like I'm sure there's certain combos that we're not thinking about where it's like, yeah, all I gotta do is swing with this 1/1 balloon and it hits somebody.
Mm.
Like imagine turning a Tivit into a 1/1 red balloon when someone removes it. Like, well, you can't because it's only as a
It's
sorcery.
only sorcery
Yeah.
speed.
Yeah, I think that's really the only downside. But I mean, anything that unlocks more win lines is
I mean,
really
using
good.
using it to copy Bloom Tender or
Yeah.
the um, the Fabro,
Yeah. Yeah.
those you can do that for sure.
Yeah.
It's just good.
All right. Kato, Bane of Nightmares. I think this card and the other one kind of single-handedly brought back. I was almost going to say Najila, Yuriko.
Yuriko.
And the fact that this card allowed people to play one of their more favorite CDH decks again, like, had to go on the list. I have never run Yuriko, but I have a soft spot for it just because I know that it can kind of be your first CDH deck. Not super expensive. You don't really need the dual lands. You don't really need a lot of the big mana rocks. You can put together a budget Yuriko and do pretty well at a CDH tournament. And then if you're like, hey, I really had fun with that, like I want to put 200, 300 more dollars into her and make her really good, you can do that. I really like that it's kind of a deck that you could take from the start of your CDH career to the end of your CDH career and do pretty good.
Yeah, playing Yuriko and having some of these cards in it make it pretty scary. Again, I don't really play too much of Yuriko,
We
but
played against it quite a bit at MagicCon.
you get emblems for its +1, which is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. And then he turns into a creature ninja.
Yeah.
So
Well, in Yuriko too, the 0 is crazy because Yuriko does damage to each opponent. So you have a 0 cost surveil 2, draw 3 after combat.
mm.
Yeah, it's good. I'll let you take this one. Marvin, Murderous Mimic.
Oh, Marvin. Um, this card is really good in Sisei, and in general, if you're using like mana positive mana dorks, because you can play this one turn without the card out,
Mm-hmm.
and then play the card like Silvala or Fabro or Bloom Tender, and then you have this that's ready to go immediately.
Yeah.
He is legendary, so I can tutor it with Sisei. He's an artifact, so I can get it with
Enlightened Tutor.
Enlightened Tutor. Just in general, good tech for, not a lot of mana.
Well, the thing that's scary about Marvin is if he comes out, you have to kill it. Like it's not a I might be good. Like if Marvin comes out, somebody can just drop like a Bloom Tender or Savala and just win. If that's the kind of deck that they're playing, which if that's the kind of deck they're playing, they're gonna put Marvin in it. So like it becomes a like, oh man, I have a swords. I know that they're gonna play Savala. I really want to remove Savala, but if I let Savala come out and then I sword Savala, Marvin will just tap and get a Savala trigger anyway. So you kind of have to burn your removal on Marvin. And then, like, worst case, if you're the person that's playing Marvin, you're like, oh, well, I'm much happier that the swords removed Marvin and not my Savala. Play Savala anyway.
Yeah. Do you have a second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like them. I mean, another thing that you can kind of just lie in wait. Like, there's a lot of decks that are lie in wait decks where you kind of have to play your commander and then you have to hope that your commander gets to another turn and you tap it. Marvin basically becomes okay, I put Marvin out. You guys can remove it. If you guys don't, my commander comes out right away, taps right away, and then I just do my thing. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of pretty good. Like Rowan was a commander that I stopped playing because it was like, all right, I play Rowan and then I pass. Please let me do my thing. With Marvin now, it's like, all right, I play Marvin. Next turn, I'm going to play Rowan and I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's if all you get is a second Birds of Paradise,
Hmm.
I mean, for two, whatever.
Yeah, and if you can, you know, get untapped creatures and play around with them that way, like, Rev Tithe Extractor. She went down a little bit. She's fairly new. She came out at the end of the year in the Jumpstart set. I think 4 for her is a little expensive, but I mean, a black creature that turns everything into Ragavan and also gives a creature death touch until end of turn. Really, really good in any Tymna deck. I mean, the fact that you can get little mini Ragavans basically in a deck and you don't need red, really good. Only downside is she costs 4.
I think that whereas she's really good, she's losing some of the steam because of her mana cost. And
Yeah.
I figured she would. The fact that she's an anime art is really what drives her price too, I think.
Yeah.
Um, really cool card though. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. I wanted to put it in because I felt like it was really good. We just haven't really had enough time with it to really see how it's good. Like there's certain cards that right away we saw were good from the Jumpstart set. And we'll probably go into one of those soon, but this one I wanted to put on the list because it has a lot of potential, and people did put it into their lists. We just haven't seen it overperform yet. Gornog, the Red Reaper. Haste, cowards can't block warriors. When one or more warriors you attack a player, target creature that player controls becomes a coward. Just a really good way for Najila to get through. Najila kind of fell off a little bit recently. She was like indisputably one of the top 4 decks, and she kind of fell down a little bit. And the people I know that play Najila play Najila. They really like Najila. I think Najila was probably the best 5-color deck for a long time, and then Sisay kind of got some things printed. And it's hard to not print things for Sisay because, like, is it legendary? Cool, you know.
Yeah,
And Najila's more, is it a warrior? Damn, yeah,
I mean, Najila getting tech is always scary though, because that
yeah,
whereas Sisay is good, Sisay in and of herself is not a win con unless you have infinite mana.
yeah,
And by that time, there's all different things that can be a win con.
yeah,
Najila herself is a win con given time.
yeah,
So just scary,
yeah. And
personally.
it basically gives all of your warriors +3/+0 too. So it's everything Najila wants to do, and it also has haste, which is great. uh, I've seen a lot of Najila players put this in. I think it's another one where it's like we haven't really seen the impact of it yet. Um, but I mean, immediately you can just look at it and go, "Oh, Najila got better, way better." Yeah.
Yeah, this is an auto include.
Yeah. Lazotep Quarry. So this one's real quick. There was a card that all it did was tap, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and it was used quite a lot. It was used in Morocco. It was used in any not Hullbreaker. What's the green creature that looks like a frog? That I want to say like not Craterhoof Behemoth. Uh, it's the second part of Flash Hulk.
I couldn't tell you, man.
I'll look it up real quick.
The it's a good land in and of itself, pretty much. I do believe that I don't know. The lands are awesome. There was a land I thought was going to be really good whenever
Protein
Thunder
Hulk.
Junction came out, huh?
Protein Hulk. Yeah. So like any deck that had Protein Hulk was basically running a land that all it did was sacrifice a creature, and now we have a land that can tap for colorless and does sacrifice a creature and adds a mana of any color. So it's pretty good. I mean, also there's a lot of like, let's say Rakdos really likes when creatures are sacrificed. Like it opened up a lot of game plans in CDH. It's weird to include this because like it's one of those things where you don't really look at it and go like, oh man, this is great, but it does a lot of things that you want done in CDH. Now you either have an extra one or one that's better than what was previously out there.
Just consistency. Having 2 of them is good.
Yeah. Talon Gates of Madara. I think this one overperformed what we thought was going to happen. The fact that you can crop rotation and your crop rotation is now a phase a creature out for a turn. So like basically your crop rotation is kind of a 1-turn swords now. Really good. And let's say you have 4 extra mana, you can just hold on to it, keep it up for counters, and if nobody does anything, just all right, I'm going to put Talon Gates and ramp a mana. You know, is the worst thing that you can do with it, which makes it pretty good. Null Elemental Blast, we didn't really see this a whole bunch in CDH. The fact that you have to generate a colorless is a lot harder in CDH than I would have thought. Your utility lands and your Soul Ring is pretty much the only thing that does it. And you don't really want a counter that isn't useful all the time. Because if you're like, oh great, I drew Null Elemental Blast, I can counter any commander. Oh, but I don't have any like strictly colorless mana that I can generate right now, so it's useless.
I mean, it's good to know about though, because
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that was needed and it's able to be used now before it wasn't there.
I mean, it's real big in other formats, like especially like people that make cubes really like it because it opens up a lot of really fun things that you can do in cubes. I think it's cool. We got it this year. We did see it in quite a few decks. I don't really think we'll see it as much in 2025. I think it'll kind of get forgotten, but I mean, it's better than Red Elemental Blast, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it can destroy and counters the multicolor.
Yeah.
I mean,
which in Commander, you got a lot of multicolor stuff.
It's most commanders.
Yeah. Flare Fortitude. The flares were pretty good. You may sacrifice a non-token white creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Until end of turn, your life total can't change. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. Great for ad nause, just because your life total can't change, so you just draw your entire deck pretty much. Great for if you're going to start a combo. Like Rocco really liked it because I need to sacrifice a creature to start the combo, and then once I sacrificed it, it was to pay the spell's cost, so you couldn't stop me from sacrificing the creature. And then one of the things that you can do to stop Rocco is swords anything on the field, really. And with Flare Fortitude, for free, I got to sacrifice my creature in an uncounterable way, and I was like, cool, I'm safe from all interaction for the most part.
Hexproof and all.
Yeah, hexproof and indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like it goes in ad nause decks, so fun, good card. Ocelot Pride, ridiculous. Like we didn't it doesn't go in a lot of decks, but the fact that for 1 cost you can put a 1/1 white cat out and you just start creating tokens is pretty crazy, and it's a 1 cost first strife lifelink.
It's silly.
Yeah, like in the decks that you can use it in, it's silly.
I think that being that it's white, which most cats are white, is its only downside.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a card that every time I ever think about putting it in, it's, oh, do I put in Ocelot Pride or do I put in Esper Sentinel? And Esper Sentinel is going to win 99% of the decks, unless you're putting like Balin that really cares about like actual creature tokens.
Or if you do both.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it though.
Yeah, it's good. Philia Exuberant Shepherd. Flash. When Philia Exuberant Shepherd attacks, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent. So basically with Philia, she has Flash, which is really good. And then whenever she attacks, you just get to remove a stacks piece that's stopping you, but then it goes back on your opponent's turn. So like I've seen this quite a bit whenever I flash out an op agent and Sisay wants to tutor.
Yep, I like the puppy.
You see a lot of really sticky situations where you're like, ugh, I am completely locked down, and I understand if I remove this, I unlock a deck that's just going to win on top of me. At least here, you're like, I'm going to unlock myself. If this person starts, they start, but they can only do it this turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of kindly place that stacks piece back for everybody else to deal with again. I like those type of effects. Also, it's a cute corgi. Like,
I mean, this is good for Draneth Magistrate. This
yeah,
is good for anything that's just kind of a pain in your side, but you want it to stay in everybody else's side.
yeah. I mean,
This is good.
if you know that you're gonna storm off, you can remove a Rhystic Study and just be like, all right, go to combat. Bye bye Rhystic Study for this turn. Spell, 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 spell. Cool, pass.
Or you play your one spell, which is this on somebody else's turn, and then you attack, take out Deafening Silence, and go ahead.
Yeah, I really like that it opens up where you can be a responsible player but still remove the stacks pieces. And as somebody that plays stacks, like one of my biggest complaints is people just going, "Nah, I'm just going to get rid of this because it's stopping me." It's like it's stopping the person who's actually about to win. Like not you. You just want to play like your commander. This person will win. Like if you pass. And Philia is one of those like where I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't for you. Go ahead and remove it. That's fine. Just put it back in a turn.
Hmm.
I was wondering why we didn't have Plagon as one of the cards this year, and I was like, oh yeah, we already went over it in the commander section.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Amphibian Downpour, Flash Storm, enchant creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1, and it costs 3. 3 is kind of a lot to hold up just to stop somebody, but the fact that you can Amphibian Downpour and turn Sisay into like a 1/1 frog is great. You can do the same thing for Tivit. And I mean, for the most part, people aren't going to remove the enchantment. They're just going to try to kill their commander and then resummon it. And the fact that it has Storm, that you can literally wait for somebody else that you know that's going to take a big turn to do their thing, and then on their end step, turn everything into frogs is really good.
It's crazy that it has Storm and it's an aura.
Yeah, and it's flash.
Mm.
Like it has two keywords you usually wouldn't see on an enchantment. I don't really think that this replaces a lot of the interaction that's out there, but I mean,
This is good to know about.
yeah, there's been a lot of times where I've had this in not really like a casual deck. It's a CDH deck. It's just not a tournament CDH deck, and I've played it and I've just removed everybody's commander and then like some real key creature pieces that are out, and everybody's just like, I don't know what to do. Like Sisay is a 1/1 frog. Can I swing Sisay at you and like you kill her so I can resummon her? And it's like I'm not gonna let you like get Sisay
Yeah,
back. Yeah. You'll do a damage to me. I'm fine with you doing a damage to me. Yeah, like it. Flare of Denial. I thought we were going to see this one a lot more, but we haven't really. The fact that it just needs a blue non-token creature and it counters a target spell for free, I thought was really good. It does keep your Thassa lines protected just because once Thassa's ETB is on the stack, you don't most of the time really care if she's there or not anymore. So it's a free counter for Thassa, but I think it's too specific, and even though it has the potential to be free, you don't it's not really usually worth the cost. So I think if you're running Polywog Prodigy, maybe worth having in because you
just sack it.
Yeah, probably want to get rid of it at some point, but I just feel like it's too specific to hope that those two cards run into each other and all you get is a free counter, like Force of Will, basically.
Yeah, I think that this is just a little too specific, but
Yeah.
it is something good, and I've seen it be played. It's not played often.
I run it in Storm
Yeah, I mean,
just because, like, when Storm's out, once she does combat damage, her trigger's there, and I don't care if Storm's still there if I'm trying, So
Yeah.
all right, Strict Serenade. So I was a little disappointed that I didn't see this as much as I thought I was going to, and then as we've gone away from MH3, I've seen it more and more and more. So I'm really glad that people are kind of catching on to it. Um, the thing that I really like about it is there's been a lot of times where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this thing, and somebody can counter me. I don't really care. I have a deflecting SWAT. And then someone plays Strict Serenade, and they're like, I'm going to counter your creature. And I'm like, I have deflecting SWAT, which I cannot deflecting SWAT back to Strict Serenade. Damn.
Yeah. No.
It's caught me off guard quite a few times. I like it. I like that more people are running it. I mean, the fact that it's just a blue to say, nah, I don't want your commander to come out today is pretty good.
It's artifact, creature, or planeswalker. It's
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's everything that
Swan Song.
Swan Song doesn't do.
Yeah. And we got a really cool owl token out of it. So
Yeah. I have one of the best arts for this, if not the best art.
Yeah.
That's full art. It's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm not currently using it, but I will at some point.
Well, I like that the base art for Swan Song is a swan flying up to the right, and then this one is an owl flying down to the right. So if you put them right next to each other, they're the exact opposite. Like,
That's cool.
yeah, but I mean, cool flavor win, really good counter. I try to run it everywhere I can. I do get that, like, there are some times where I'm trying to run a really efficient deck that tries to win really quick, and I'm like, I don't really want to stop anybody else from winning. I just want to win, and totally get not putting it in there. But if you're playing a deck that kind of tries to exhaust your opponent, Strict Serenade is a great card. Volatile Stormdrake. This is real quick. The fact that we got a $2 and something Gilded Drake is great. I really like that there's a budget option for Gilded Drake now, and also Gilded Drake is still better. Like, you probably want to run Gilded Drake over this.
Or run them both.
Yeah, or run them both. Now you have that option.
I will say that whereas I like Gilded Drake, this one is really good too.
Yeah,
and
the fact that you can just decide to sacrifice it is pretty good. The hexproof from activated and triggered abilities is surprising that it's been relevant a couple times.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. We're in Soul Trader. Really just opened up a lot of combos where you can just sacrifice a creature over and over and over again. As long as you net a life and you can get that creature out over and over, you just get infinite mana. It completely wins the game in Rakdos. Wins the game in a lot of things. It's a good Hulk pile. It's a really good card. And the fact that it's a goblin too just makes it even better.
Yeah. I like this one too.
Yeah. Ashling Flame Dancer, I almost cut this one, but it's just such a cool card. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end, and if you have it out and you can flicker it and then cast spells over and over again, you just generate a ton of mana and you just kill everybody. Yeah, because you discard a card, then draw a card. So if you can do it 20 times, you just kill the table and you get to draw 20 cards, in case anybody tries to stop you.
So pre-bans, that would be the correct term.
Before September, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was crazy in Krakashima.
Yeah.
I played one of the best Krakashima players that was using this.
Mm-hmm.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
But that's what Krakashima is supposed to do.
Yeah. You have to stop. You have to make Sakashima or Krak Sakashima's day miserable, or your day is miserable.
That's a good card, though.
Yeah. Flare of Duplication. This, I almost, just the fact that this card alone pretty much brought Rogsai to the top is crazy. Like, Flare of Duplication made a huge difference in Rogsai being able to push. I could understand if somebody used a Force of Will on this one, just because Rogsai's pretty clearly still one of the best, if not the best, decks in the format. We've already used ours, and I still like mine, but like,
Still, shout out to the Karakushima player. I countered a spell,
oh yeah,
and he used this spell to copy it on the stack and continue to do the combo.
yeah. This card
Silly town.
is it really lets you play a lot of fun games on the stack. Like I really like it.
Yeah. I just looked at him and I was like, man, you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. I'm surprised how like we knew that MH3 was going to bring a lot of new cards to the format that we could get excited about, but I didn't realize it was like this many.
Oh yeah, it brought some fire.
Yeah.
This stupid thing.
Yeah, Basking Brood Sale goes infinite with Rosy Cotton, goes infinite with a lot of things.
It looks at things and goes in.
Yeah, it's this card is very clearly going to always be relevant.
It's a common.
It's a common, and it's also colorless.
And he's eating a.
It's a lizard. Yeah, it's a creepy looking lizard. Yeah, whoever designed this card,
kudos.
Well, no, you're bad at your job. You should stop. Someone.
Well, I'm just talking about the art.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So whoever did the art, kudos. Whoever designed the card, QA really needs to look at the things that you're pushing through. Like,
they need to do an investigation of you.
Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm really sorry. Like I'm sure your job is hard, but
you're a monster.
Yeah, you're bad at your job. I'm sorry. That's fine. You know, if you just get your paycheck and you go home and you have fun with real life, you know, you can be bad at your job. Like that's fine.
You just keep putting them out there because this is crazy.
If you really enjoy your time off, you're doing a great job, man. I think you have a lot more time off in your future.
Jesus.
Eldrami Corvigdal. So I thought this was the first printing of Eldrami whenever this came out. I was wrong. You guys let me know in the comments. Thank you. It's a warrior. It's really good in Najila. I've seen it in quite a few deck lists, usually in an Najila deck list. Green, tap 2 creatures you control, reveal a card from your hand or the top of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it on the battlefield.
That's silly.
Yeah, and it's activated only during your turn. So you can activate it on the stack, but only on your turn.
Silly town.
Yeah. You may look at the top card of your library too, and you can cast creature spells from the top of your library. So when this guy's on the field, you basically have 8 cards in your hand for the most part. You know what's coming up on your turn. You can worldly tutor creatures to top and cast them. Like it's everything you kind of want in green. And it's an elf on top of it, and it's a warrior, so it's relevant in Najila.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Evolution Witness. I didn't think that this was a very crazy card, and then one of our friends put it in his Kenrith deck, and it got real stupid real fast. So I like it. It was really good in Bumbleflower as well. Not that Bumbleflower is a CDH deck yet. It will be one day, but
one day.
Yeah, this allowed you to do a lot of silly things, and again, it's common.
It's common.
Yeah.
I bet it's the same guy that designed the Eldrazi lizard.
You are bad at your job, sir. QA needs to be like Santa, like make a list and check your cards twice.
It's like he just kind of slides it underneath the pile. He's like, try this one.
Yeah. It's like, hey, did you get those cards done today? And he's like, oh yeah. Here you go. Like, sir, this is written on a napkin. Like, yeah, but it's real good, right?
What is this stain?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll be good. And then they print it, and he's like, what have I done? Oh man, I need to stop drinking at work.
It's an Eldrazi lizard. This is an elf shaman mutant.
Yeah. Just why give it 3 times? Yeah, this is silly. I mean, this should have been Simic as well. Like, but it's just mono green. That's fine. Fanatic of Ronus was great. I had a lot of fun with it. I don't run into any of my decks right now, but usually like creatures that tap for 2 or more mana, you kind of look at them and you're like, oh, okay, like you could combo with this. Like this could go infinite with a myriad of things. This taps for 4. Like if you have a creature power 4 or greater, and it's just a 2 cost that taps for 4. And if that's not good enough, if it dies, you can eternalize it, turn it into a 4/4 black zombie, um, and then you just get to tap it for 4 from now on.
Nothing.
Yeah, like
That,
it turns itself on.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sewing Mycospan. So this one I've been seeing in a bunch of green decks. It has a kicker of 2. When you cast a spell, search your library for a land card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. When you cast the spell, if it was kicked, exile target land. So for 6, you can exile somebody else's Guy's Cradle and go get your own. And it's a cast, so like I don't care if it gets countered. Like the moment I dump the mana in, it's happening. It's a second crop rotation, but it's a second crop rotation for 4. So I personally haven't been running it. I'm probably wrong here though. It does seem like a pretty good card.
I've never seen it be played, but it's interesting to think about the possibilities it could do.
Yeah, I think now that we see more Timna Kodama and Derevi combos, we're going to see it a little bit more because people do want, like, they're like, I don't even care if it costs 4. If it goes, it gets Guy's Cradle, like,
That's all I need.
great. Yeah. Also, the fact it's a Eldrazi mushroom is cool. I think they saw The Last of Us and they were like, I want to make an Eldrazi mushroom. That seems like what The Last of Us would be like.
That seems good.
Season 2, 2025. Just rest in peace, my sweet Prince Nadu. Springheart Nantuko is great. It was a card that when it came out, it was really good in. I was really unfortunate with the bans because it was really good in Nadu and it was really good in Natali, and I don't play either of those decks anymore. The end. But I mean, it's really great in casual too. Like normally, I don't look at a card and go, "Oh, this is going to be great in casual," but like it was really good in the decks that it was really good in CDH. It's still good. Like it's still something I have in my CDH box where I'm like, this will find a use. I just haven't found a use for it yet. It's landfall. So like people love their landfall casual decks. So like it was a great job, whoever did this and designed this card all around.
Yeah. I haven't seen it since Nadu,
Yeah.
and meh, like
It is still running Atali, but you just don't see Atali as much. Vexing Bauble. This card is insane. I think it's banned in several formats.
I
Like
think this was the Eldrazi guy again.
Yeah.
He strikes again.
whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell, and you can also just get rid of it for 1, sack it, and draw a card. And it costs 1. Stacks that you can drop turn 1 are really big. Like if you go first and you drop a Vexing Bauble, like shame on you. Shame on you. The fact that Mana Crypt isn't a thing anymore, it's not really as I don't go looking for Vexing Bauble anymore in my Sax decks, but it's a good card. Yeah, I mean the fact that you can drop it and then you're like, oops, my bad. You guys need to do free spells. Cool, I'll sack it. You know?
Yeah, y'all need it. Okay.
Yeah.
This was put underneath the Eldrazi
Yeah.
lizard and
Yeah.
in between the elf shaman mutant.
Like who was like, hey, we need a Lavinia that costs 1 colorless.
It's the same set.
Yeah.
And this is an uncommon.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Like not only pretty good in Commander, but like really good to the point it got banned or at least restricted in other formats. Trouble in Pairs.
This was a controversial card.
Yeah, so this art was allegedly, in quotations, stolen, and I saw the side by sides, and if you look at it, like clearly the axe that the guy's holding is not the right proportions. The arm on the person in the background isn't even the same color. It if you look up Trouble in Pairs and kind of look at the thing, you can draw your own conclusions, but allegedly stolen art. So was going to put it on here because of that, but it is used in a lot of decks. It's a great Tivit combo. Like if anybody really finds a commander that just goes infinite turns, like Trouble in Pair, we'll see it some more. And also, it's just good. Like when an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn or casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. Like the fact that we got a Lotho in mono white that is basically a Rhystic Study is good. Like,
Yeah, I don't run it much anymore
yeah,
because of smothering. I
yeah,
just decided to use smothering more than this, but still a really good option to know about. It's a good draw engine. I've drawn
yeah.
a lot of cards from this.
I've been playing TNT, and TNT is kind of the version I run is more of an enchantment based, where like as long as I have a couple of enchantments on the field, I can go infinite several ways, and it makes it a lot easier. I've thought about it, but it's the same thing where it's like, do I want to put Trouble in Pairs or Smothering Tithe in? Smothering Tithe wins every time, and it's really hard to justify a second mono white enchantment in my deck.
I agree. I mean, it's a good card though.
Yeah, and I mean if you're just running mono white, really great card, but also like, do we see any mono white commanders really top the charts on tournaments? No, we don't.
No.
Final World Word Phantom, he was really, really fun. Then Valet Flood Collar got printed and he wasn't as good. And now in Foundations, there's the the 4-cost fairy that just gives all of your spells flash. So I think Final Word Phantom you can unfortunately take out of your CDH box as of now and put it somewhere else. But it was a lot of fun. Like I really liked. I had in Grawl Knock whenever I was playing that, and I would just play. I'd have him out, and I would just pass, and then I'd just be like, "Okay, well, on your end step, I'm going to take a fourth of my turn," and then it gets to the last person before me. I'm like, "Okay, I'm actually going to take my real turn." And then you're going to pass to me, and then I'm going to do the same thing over again. It was pretty silly how good he was.
It reminds me of with the flavor text. Just one more thing. It reminds me of Uncle from the Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of the
One more thing.
well, actually, like meme. It was a lot of fun though. If you're playing casual or high power casual, yeah, put this guy in. He's fun. Delaney. When we were looking over these cards, I think Delaney was the one that stood out. That was like, Delaney was 2024. You know, like Delaney feels like it has been so ingrained in CDH that to me, it's crazy that we were playing for a while and there was no Delaney at all. Like, just crazy. Like if I can get Delaney out with TNT, like Delaney and Kinnan is stupid. Delaney and uh Orcish Bowmaster is stupid. Like
Yeah,
it's a cool card.
I like Delney. It's kind of fell off as far as the decks that I play,
Double Lotho triggers, like
but Double Lotho is where it's at.
double
Really,
Derevi triggers. Like
ugh,
yeah.
double. You used to use it for
Double Dockside.
double dockside. Um, you have to get a little more creative now, but it doesn't.
Mhm.
It doesn't bring the value of this card down to 0.
Yeah, it's no longer an auto include if you had red, like if you had red and white, you ran it. There was no question. Now you still run it in quite a bit of things, but it's a lot more specific now. Like you're definitely running it in Bant, probably. You're probably running it if you run white black. Like it's still really good. It's cool that this was included because of a card that was just busted broken. And even though that busted broken card is banned, everybody's like, oh, this is still good.
Yeah, it's a solid card.
We got 5 cards left. We're at 41 of 46. We did it.
We're going fast. Good for us.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a 3-hour podcast.
I really did too.
Archdruid's Charm, 3 green instant. Choose one, search your library for a creature or land card, or exile a target artifact or enchantment. There's a second thing in the middle. Don't really ever see it, but the fact that we got a new charm in CDH in 2024 is really cool. And you can use this to go fetch a guy's cradle, or you can use this to exile the One Ring. A lot of people are running it. I have a hard time putting it in decks just because for 3 green mana,
That's a lot.
it's hard to justify it in Atali. It was hard to justify it in TNT because it's 4 colors. Like, it has a place for me. It's just too hard to cast, and the upside is, oh, you have a One Ring, it's gone now. It's like I paid 3 mana to do that. Like,
I still think keep it secret, keep it safe somewhere because you're
yeah,
probably gonna want it.
yeah.
But
And I mean, there's a lot of decks that once you get Guy's Cradle out, you kind of just win. So, it's good. You do put Gaia Cradles out tapped, so it doesn't immediately refund itself, but I mean, it's still a good card.
I like it.
Leyline of the Guild Pack. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, so this is a 5-color ley line that turns all of your lands into all colors. And all creatures in all
Yeah.
creatures, all permanents you control is all colors.
Yeah.
So I think I read that wrong.
So each non-land permanent you control is all colors, and lands you control are every basic land type. Yeah.
There we go. That's the more official. Still what I said, just not as smooth.
Yeah. Your lands tap for all colors, and your creatures are all colors.
This is a really good card. I used it in Sisay for a while. The only issue is that it's not legendary, which kind of hurt me in a few things. There's other ways to do what Sisay needs, and if this wasn't in my opening hand, it kind of lost its luster. I wasn't going to cast it.
Yeah, Green Devotion is a real archetype of deck, not in Commander, but if we ever had enough of those printed or had a commander that supported it, it's all colors. It's 4 colors, but each of them can be green. So this itself has 4 devotion to green on it that you can just flop out of your hand for free. That's what other formats are using it for the most part. I did really like its inclusions in Sisay, but like you were saying, it was really cool if you played it on your first turn, but otherwise, meh, and you couldn't search it. So, like, it was cool to immediately have a big giant Sisay if you had another legendary creature out at all. I think we will still see it somewhere. And then again, if we ever find a way to make Green Devotion work in Commander, like crazy.
I still keep it in my mind.
Yeah.
Of that this is here. I really liked it when it was in Sisay, but it was whenever it was first turned, the game was pretty much mine.
Yeah.
And then if it wasn't first turned, meh.
Yeah, it was a dead card.
So, I mean, cool to know about. Another ley line.
We got a lot of ley lines this year. Like, side note, a lot of really cool ley lines this year.
Yeah, Dustmourne
Leyline Axe.
Probably like 2.
Yeah.
Right? 2 or 3?
So every color in Duskmourn got a new one, except for black. And then out of the ones that we got, 2 of them were probably CDH worthy.
Leyline Axe was pretty fun to have in pre-release.
Yeah, I really don't think we'll ever see it in CDH, but it was fun. Like, I like that you could make a deck type that just drops a lot of free stuff out turn 1, and that somewhat maybe work now.
Yep.
High noon. It's high noon. So a 2-cost Rule of Law is really good. That's, kind of the color that's the cost of Rule of Law is really 2. And the fact that if you get 5 mana, sacrifice High Noon, it deals 5 damage to any target. Really, the only downside of this is it has to be played in white-red deck, and then just stacks in general is kind of hard to do. But if you play High Noon and you go infinite mana, you just win because if you can get it back. So you play High Noon, sack it to deal 5 damage to somebody, flash pop your E-Wetness or whatever, get it back to hand, play it, pop it, play it, pop it, play it, pop it. There was a time where I was playing this in Rocco, and it was a win condition with, I always forget the unicorn's name. Emil. Yeah, Emil, E-Witness, High Noon, and then Infinite Mana, which, I mean, Infinite mana is hard to get, but this itself would just win me the game because I would rule of law everybody pop it, rule of law everybody pop it, rule of
I mean, it's a good option to the rule of law because you can always sack it too
mm-hmm.
if you really needed to.
Yeah, I think Winota really likes this card too. Which, I mean, it's funny that we don't play. Well, we don't personally own a Winota deck, but I'm always just like, yeah, Winota really likes it. Return the Favor. So this one we saw for a little bit for decks that were running to run a second deflecting SWAT, or if your commander was so big, deflecting SWAT really didn't really make a lot of sense. So it's 2 red, and then you can spree it to copy a target instant sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, or change the target of a spell or ability with a single target. So it was copy the spell and deflect it for 4, or you could do 3 for one of those. So it's a better deflecting SWAT if you can't cast deflecting SWAT for free, or you want a second one.
And it's an uncommon.
Yeah. So it was in a lot of decks. I think it kind of fell off a little bit with the Duskmourn Malfunction card. I mean, really, the people that were running this was Atali and maybe Rocco, but they're not as big hitters anymore. And this is the last card. That's so it had split second. Choose any number of target creatures with equal toughness. Destroy the chosen creatures. The fact that we got a destroy card with split second is really cool. Like,
it's a little expensive to cast, but I mean, still pretty good.
Yeah, Crick really liked it because it was a 2 colorless and 4 life. Kill everything with 2 toughness. Kill everything with 3 toughness. In CDH, the toughness of all of our creatures are pretty similar. They're usually 3 and below, maybe 4. Maybe your commander is a little bit bigger, but for the most part, Vats could kind of wipe the field and then split second to where it's like this is just happening. Like, you can tap your mana dorks, but that's it.
Yeah, I went heavy into the Fallout set just because I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
This was a pull every time. I really liked this card and the different arts for it.
Yeah.
I haven't really used it as much because Deluge was a better option to me.
Yeah, I will say with Crick not surviving as well anymore with the bans, maybe this does fall off. But I mean, I personally was at a tournament where someone played this and they saved us from Kinnan. So I was just like, it's going on the list.
Yeah. I mean, it's a split second card. Those are always just a high powered card.
Yeah. And like Kinnan couldn't even activate its ability on top of it, knowing that it was going away. Like they were like, well, I'll save like you could just be like, I'm gonna save my Sisay trigger and then pass to me, and I'm just like Vats, and you're like, oh, I want to activate Sisay. It's like, you can't.
Yeah, split second, too bad.
Yeah, too bad. Bye bye. Like you inflate your mana before she goes away, but otherwise, bye bye. I think that is our last one. It is. We made it. Only an hour and 23 minutes.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So I Force of Willed into the Floodmaw. You Force of Willed the squirrel.
No, yeah, the Broodmaster.
Yeah. I think beyond a doubt, I think Bloomburrow kind of wins the CDH award this year for some of the best cards.
Yeah,
MH3 is really close too, though.
I would say MH3 and Duskmourn were pretty good. I really liked Duskmourn.
Yeah, I liked Duskmourn. I think we're still kind of waiting. The cards were weird, so like you didn't immediately look at them like into the Floodmaw and go like, oh, this is just this. I think we just kind of saw everybody figure out Thunder Junction, like specifically them figure out that Rakdos the Muscle was really good. I think it takes about 6 to 8 months for those cards to really mill over in everybody's mind and for them to test them with their friends and then be like, okay, cool, I can take this to a tournament. And then everybody's like, oh, I like that deck, and they make it.
Mm.
So I think Duskmourn was still a little bit away from seeing the huge impact it'll have on CDH. Also with the bands too, I think everybody was just like, oh, like what do I do now?
I mean, no question that Bloomborough was probably there.
Yeah.
MH3
MH3 had a lot of like the flares
was
themselves. Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah. It was a really good year to be in CDH and enjoy CDH. And hopefully 2025 is up there too. We get Ether Drift, right? On February 14th, which is the next set.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah. I remember looking at the release schedule and being like, okay, well, we'll be doing that pretty much next. But yeah, it's gonna wind up to be a pretty cool year. This year was pretty cool. I hope you guys have enjoyed reflecting back with us, seeing all the cool things that you either remember or you were like, oh, whoa, that was this year, or things that you were like, I completely missed that card. Like that's going in my deck.
Yeah. 2024 was a seemingly long year for Magic
Yeah.
because we're looking at cards and I'm like, that was this year.
We did a tournament at the beginning of the year last year where we got kind of snowed out basically. And like it hasn't even been a year since that tournament, which like blows my mind. Like
But
I top 4'd on that tournament, by the way. Yoo-hoo. Like
allegedly.
allegedly.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, if you guys got to the end of the podcast, please give us 5 stars on your podcast app of choice. And if you listen to us on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you.
For sure.
Thank you guys as always. See you later.
See you in 2025.
Bye.